If you have never experienced a near suicidal depressive breakdown, I can tell you what it's like. I had one 5 years ago. Now hopefully this isn't you, but looking back, I know it was the best thing that could have happened to me. Because up till then, I was just like every other clueless entrepreneur, maniacally focused on success, but ignoring all the signs, moving non-stop from one guru get-rich scheme to another, yet still completely in the dark about what I was supposed to do with my life. But as they say, that was then, this is now, and if you can hear my voice, then you and I both know we are ready to get serious about living the life we love, not just existing in it. But how do we do it? Join me as I work with hundreds of entrepreneurs just like you to learn their insider secrets, what's working now, and more importantly, what hasn't. All to help you, the struggling entrepreneur, decode what's keeping you stuck, enabling you to live better, accomplish more, and truly become the person you want to be. Hi, my name is Bryan Forsythe, and welcome to Radically Unstuck. All right. Hey, welcome to Radically Unstuck. My name is Bryan Forsythe. I want to welcome you to the show where we try to get you, the listener, to figure out what is keeping you stuck, what is keeping you in your chair, what is keeping you from living a life that you would gladly fight for. That's the purpose of this podcast, and I want to tell you today we have a great guest, Michael Mello. As you will find out, he is not just a fitness coach, a counselor. He has been an entrepreneur for most of his life. He is someone who can bring the fire, and with that, I want to bring him on. Michael, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Mello, a holistic coach and mentor. I've been training clients for most of my life. Ever since I was at the ripe young age of 17, I began teaching tennis lessons, and now today I'm an online holistic coach affecting people all over the world.
And that is what it's about. That's what it's about. It's about figuring out what it is that you can do with your life that serves you and serves others. One of the most oft realized truths about people who are living big, amazing lives, they help people. The amount of help, the amount of service that you can be to your fellow man, as it were, is directly attributable to your ultimate success. But I want to talk about what Michael Mello was like when he was 13, 14 years old. Like, what was going on? Like, what did you have a good childhood? Did you have amazing parents, or were you living on the streets and just kind of try to figure it out?
Man, my childhood was very pleasant. My parents were very loving growing up, always gave me as much as they could. My dad got me interested in sports at a very young age. As soon as I was able to walk, I was running. I was always a type A personality, go, 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 go. So for my dad, he loved that, got me into sports early. I started with soccer. I wasn't too crazy about it at first, so I dabbled in a bunch of other sports. Tennis and basketball really resonated most with me over anything else. That and tag. When I was younger, I would play tag all the time.
Right.
Not professionally, but now that I see those parkour games where people are playing tag in like a little arena, I'm like, I could get back into tag.
I don't know if they, I think they have competition dodgeball. So, if anybody's listening, I feel like there are plenty of people that would want to do competition tag, I feel like.
Oh, yeah. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
That's right. And I would rather dodge a ball if it's all the same. I'm for real. I don't want to get hit by a wrench. But so you're 16, or so. You're doing sports. You're loving sports. Did you ever think that you were did you have dreams of being a sports star, or did you all just always kind of know that you were headed in a different direction?
Well, what got me into the gym actually was when I played basketball. I was so gung ho about it. I love basketball. I know I wasn't the tallest person, but I had a strong yearning to do well in the sport. So I practiced my handling skills. I practiced my free throws. I would be shooting hundreds and hundreds of free throw shots a day over the course of the summer. I was literally at the basketball courts 4 to 7 hours a day. And then that was the summer of my sophomore year of high school. I returned to school and then applied for the basketball team my junior year. I did not make it. I was actually cut, second cut, which I was pissed about because I knew I could beat everybody on my high school one-on-one, but apparently that's not what it takes to be a good player. Um, so my mom signed me up for the gym. I remember it now, Dartmouth, Massachusetts, Planet Fitness. That's where it all began. And I bought Arnold Schwarzenegger's encyclopedia of like bodybuilding. So
Yeah.
that's where my first love of the sport came. Shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. His birthday was yesterday too, by the way.
That's a Bible. That is like the Bible. If anybody's listening, you know, if you think you want to be, you know, start really taking care of your body, don't ask your best friend unless he's actually read that, because I mean that's
Your best friend's
literally
Arnold.
yeah. I mean if you want to really start, you know, learning what it takes to you know build your body on any level, that is like the best place to start talking about, you know, the word of God. Arnold, like that's kind of the word of God. There's been a lot of people after him, but you know, if you talk to people who have done bodybuilding or started bodybuilding, everybody kind of goes back to that one book. And you know, so now you're doing sports and you're gonna, like, what were you thinking at that point?
Just I was very upset. Like I was crying for days. Didn't make the team. Um, I don't know. I just replaced that sorrow and anger into a constructive manner because I knew I always liked being active right after school to kind of de-stress and get the blood flowing away from my mind through a hard day of school, because I was always like, I hated doing homework, so I would like double work at school. So I'd have my classes, or I'd have one easy class where I would do the homework in. I'd do homework before classes. I'd do homework right before the bus came, and I'd be doing homework during lunch just so I could avoid doing it all at home and have free time to play video games. Because when I get home, my mind's shut off. I'm done. So that's why I like doing everything at school, double it up. And then, well, I mean, it was different when I took an AP class the senior year, but that's literally the only exception. So I would just keep school for work. Right after school, I would do a physical activity. So I switched from basketball and tennis to working out at the gym. And then I'd go home and I'd play video games. Call of Duty was a big one going up. I'm a big fan of real-time shooters.
Yeah. So when you're, you know, I guess one of the big things that you know, sort of informs, you know, not now obviously because school's out, but when school was in, you know, when I was growing up, you know, bullying and the realities of school, you know, school life. I mean, were you ever you know, impacted by that?
Oh yeah, I was definitely bullied a lot growing up because I was always a wicked skinny, scrawny kid,
Oh
and
wow.
I have a cleft chin, so everybody would call me butt chin.
Oh, hey,
That didn't really affect me that much. That stopped affecting me after like elementary school because I mean, you know, I don't like it, but the ladies do. So
that's right. It ain't about what the men think necessarily. But so you were dealing with, you know, you're dealing with bullying, and I actually, believe it or not, I actually, you know, when you shave all this hair off of my face, I also have not just a butt chin, but I have a chin that could literally find water. I mean, it's quite large, quite
there we
large,
go.
and very long. And so there was actually a group of people that got together and they had a rap song, and it was called "The Chin." And whenever I, you know, walked down the hall, they would rap about my chin.
I mean, that's pretty cool. It's like you're getting an introduction. You don't even have to tell people who you are; they just know you.
Yeah, it wasn't, you know, the rap song wasn't so bad, but I did get, I don't know if you ever had like a sneaker on your face and somebody like holding you down with like your head like under their foot, but that was something that I got to deal with.
Jeez.
And I just want to tell all of the people that might be listening of whatever age that, if you're being bullied, if you're, dealing with things like that, it's not you. Uh, Please absolve yourself of the self-blame that can sometimes come with really any kind of torment, and take steps to move out of that if at all possible.
It's more often than not just insecurities and other people trying to bring other people down to lift themselves up and feel better.
Yeah, and that's kind of the one of the truths of being human is many times, I would say almost the majority of the time, it is the other person's problem that is being impinged upon you, that is being inflicted on you. And I think one of the big quotes that I remember is you know basically something about not letting other people's actions or words like spin you up. That if you can, keep centered and realize that it's the other person that's having the problem and not give them back what they've given you, that, you remain in control of the situation. And, to the extent that you allow someone to manipulate you through your emotions, then you're really easy to be controlled. Have you any experience with that, Michael?
I remember vaguely like being really, really young and like it was like preschool and like kids were holding me down like all my legs. And then it seemed like one kid was like on top of me and like about to like stab my throat with his pointy necklace. Like that's the earliest thing I remember. I've never been in any fights in high school or nothing like that. I just kind of stayed on everybody's good side and stayed out of the way, did my own thing. Because like I said, when I was at school, I was only doing schoolwork. So I'd kind of avoid people for the most part. But after junior and senior year, I was definitely like one of the most popular kids at school. Like not popular, like everybody liked me, but everybody like knew me. So it was kind of just like people I didn't like, I'd stay away from. People I did like, I did hang around from. So I was kind of the person who went in and out of the social circles, but I never belonged in any one particular. Because each social
Yeah.
circle, I'd have like a few people I didn't like and didn't even want to mess with or like speak to at all. So I'd avoid them. But my friends, quote unquote, are the ones that I would hang out and talk with in between the halls, this and that. But like I said, other than that, I was just doing work through school.
So one of the craziest things, when this was when I was in sixth grade, and so I'm transferring in, and this school is like super rough. I mean, we had a race riot like a year after I started going, and like a full on race riot with like people like outside. It was insane. But so I was this scrawny little kid and didn't know anything about fighting, and so I was getting picked on because that's what happened. It's kind of like prison where you would come and you were the new guy, so everybody would pick on you to see, whether or not you could take it. And so the weirdest thing happened though, because I was in choir, and choir was like it was just like nobody could sing, but it was better than some of the other options, right? So we were all in choir, and this guy named Troy Griffin, and in that school there were basically the black people and the white people, and they didn't get along. There was a lot of racial tension between the different races, and so it really split down the middle. And so Troy was like the head of the militant white people, let's call them, right? The people who would fight given if they were pushed. And so he was in the choir. And back then, in the I don't even remember, like 83 or whatever year it was, we played this game called Thump, and it was basically a test to see, you know, whether or not somebody could thump your knuckles hard enough to make you stop wanting to play the game. And Troy was like insanely good at this. Like he would hit, and it felt like somebody had picked up a hammer and hit your hand. And
Yeah, yeah, I remember that game. We
was
played the
so
different version though. We did what's called quarters, so we'd like slide quarters into the fingers instead of punching them.
what? All right, so you kind of know what I'm talking about. But so everybody else, when we were in choir and we were messing around or whatever, like everybody else would quit, and I would not quit. I mean, bloody knuckles or not, I would not quit. I would just, I would just keep playing. And the crazy thing is that because I didn't give up, I was the biggest wimp in the school, but because I didn't give up and, I would continue playing, Troy came to respect me. And I became the dude nobody messed with because they would have to fight Troy. So my sixth grade,
Hey.
yeah, it was crazy because and so I just kind of got sucked into this huge group of guys that all these fighters, and I mean these they were like the core of the hoods, and I just because I was the dude that wouldn't give up in this weird little game, Troy said, "Hey, that dude, don't mess with that dude," and I became like one of them. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Kept me from getting killed. But
Only takes one thing.
I know it was very odd. So do you have any thinking about your life, do you have any times where you're like, well, that clearly was, whether you call God or providence or good fortune, like if you have any stories like that?
Yeah, definitely. It's not so much a story because it happened so gradually, and it wasn't really like an idea. It kind of just happened. Like when I was going to school, I was living in the dorms in Boston. I started out at Mass College of Pharmacy because I was going for pharmacy originally. And then most of my friends were like people I met outside of college, be like friends of friends that people knew from other schools, and we just all hang out in like the cafeteria, like not cafeteria, but like where we'd get food near our schools because it was all the colleges of Fenway. So there was a bunch of schools meeting up in the same cafeteria. So I would hang out with these quote unquote sneakerheads. And then just through them, like I loved dressing in like street clothing and hip hop attire. So when I was in my freshman year, I started putting my money towards Jordan sneakers, and I'd go with them to the releases. And my first ever pair of shoes that I got was the Jordan 8s.
Oh wow.
I forgot. Yeah, it was like the Bugs Bunny Jordan 8s, and I forgot the year.
Man, I bet you those are worth a lot of money.
Yeah, it was 15. Yeah, I pretty much turned them around and made $500. Went back to the store the next release and there was something else.
Yeah.
And then I like kept flipping them because you were able to buy like two at a time. So I would just save all my money, put it towards the sneaker releases. And then typically when I go with my friends, they pick like the best ones that are going to have the largest markup. I mean, you never really know
Right.
until the shoe's released, but it's like, still pretty cool to have made that kind of money in literally a couple weeks at that age, because I never knew or like had any other job experience other than like working as a janitor at gyms to get a free gym membership when I was going through my senior year of high school.
Yeah, so you clearly, kind of got this entrepreneurial bug, that little bit with the shoes. So, sports, you kind of said, okay, I'm not going to do that. So what was the next step? What was the next move after you realized that, weren't necessarily going to be a basketball star?
Well, like after basketball, that was like junior year. I kind of gave that up, and then my senior year, I was a senior for a tennis player from my high school since sophomore year. So tennis, I was always better at, and that was like the next sport I kind of wanted to try to aim towards and get better. But since I went to school for pharmacy, I knew that it was going to take a lot more of my time to learn the material, so I had to like give that up too, especially since that school didn't even have like a team for tennis. So
Right.
I figured that was the right path to go. But then after a year and like the quote unquote summer that we had, I mean, it wasn't really a summer because it was an accelerated program. But after being in the program for like 3 semesters, I decided it wasn't for me. Like after learning more and more about what it was like after, and like how limited time freedom you have and how much work and focus it takes and a bunch of other things, I decided it wasn't for me. So I was thinking a change in career path, and I wanted to do something with exercise and fitness. So I moved over to exercise science, and then 3 years later, I got my degree in that.
How long was the pharmacy course, or like was that like a couple of years?
That was gonna be a 6-year program, and then I transferred out after a year and a half.
And so you did a year of pharmacy, and then you moved to fitness science, and then you completed your degree.
Mhm.
So what was the like? How did you know that fitness science was the path? Did you ever think that you might veer away from that, or did you once you sort of hit on that, that was the thing you knew you wanted to do?
Well, I knew that there were other paths to take after getting my degree in exercise science, but, I after I took like a year off, I like started training people, I guess, my last year working on the college, and that yielded great results for me. So I kind of just stuck with that because instead of going into another program like for a doctoral program, it would have cost like 80K plus, and I was like making pretty decent money, and I'd rather use my money wisely and start investing in like real estate so I could make money rather than uh be in debt and have to be paying that off.
I can understand that. That's kind of one of the biggest problems with mainstream education and colleges and universities and things is that the so many people go through the whole process, and then they come out and they have a degree, hopefully, but they don't necessarily have a job. So
Hmm.
so were you worried about that, or was that you were just gonna always
Well,
do the private coaching and mentoring and stuff?
well, no, I've never worried about that because I always knew everywhere that I was going that I never had a issue getting like jobs or anything like that. So um with everything that I was doing with flipping shoes, and then when I switched over and got into exercise science and became a personal trainer, um, I just had a good business sense and knew what money was coming in and how I could spend it going out.
I'm curious about your ability to sort of move from one thing to the other, and were you reading any books at that time, or talk to
Um,
talk about that to
no,
the listeners out there in radio land, as it were.
well, like I said, I was going through a course for exercise science, so not only was I learning the science behind how the body works and between exercise, physiology, physics, etc., but I was also learning like business application and how to get clients, how to open and run my own gym, how to, you know, like other stuff that has to go with business, not only just fitness and like exercises. Like it's not just anatomy and physiology and biology. It's like, um, I mean, it's a lot of that, but there's some more application in there that helped me out. And not only that, but like I'm a very big extrovert. Like my personality was ENFJ, so I
Right.
don't have a problem like going out and talking to other people. So for me, it's just easier because with this, you have to be personable and people have to like you before they hire you. So as soon as I got a job at a pretty popular gym in the area where I was going to school, it was just natural because I was one working there at the front desk too. So everybody who came in kind of knew who I was. And then I would also work out there as well, sometimes twice a day. Um, so I was there a lot.
So what's your best tip for someone who is trying to find it in them to get out there and be more personable and be more capable, to like be in the public eye, like somebody who's sort of, let's say, maybe shy, like
Hire a
how
coach.
would you how would you to how would you help them get past where they're at?
Hire a coach, or hit up my Facebook and join my free Facebook group where I talk about confidence and helping people live a little bit more fit and mellow.
Fit and mellow, that's where it's at. So so when you're doing your fitness training, and you're seeing that somebody is just not they're not taking the time, they're not doing the work, what are you saying to them?
Well, that's a difficult question to ask because it's definitely a case by case scenario. So usually when that happens, there's something going on in their personal life that um, we need to have a talk about. So like that's when it becomes more personable, and I have to step up and actually literally call them up or message them on Facebook to get them on call so that I can figure out what's going on and how we can take steps to either take a little break from what she's doing for a few days or figure a way to get her out of that funk. Or he, like, it's not him or her, it's just the most recent time this happened. It was with a female, and we talked about it, and the next day she thanked me and was like, "You're right, I feel so much better. Give me an easy workout to do today, but keep it on the shorter side because I have blah 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 going on." So I
Yeah.
did that. We got through it, and she thanked me a lot for it.
Hey, and that's really something that the people who are wanting to be a coach or even an entrepreneur, like you can't think that one size fits all. There has to be some level of appreciation for where people are and where people are starting from, right?
Definitely. That's why it's important as a coach to be asking a lot of questions, because not everybody's willing to give you the correct answer first off. So usually it's covered with a few layers of paint, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you got to get out the chipping hammer. So, uh, so be ready for Michael Mello is going to bring out the chipping hammer and chip away all that rust that's on you. One thing I'm curious about is you've been doing this for a long time. Who are the best clients, males or females?
Um, eh, there's no true answer to that. I'm not. I don't know. Like, I don't look at people for their race, gender, past experiences, current challenges, etc. I just see everybody equally, and I try to help people where they're at. Like, it's just I see a lot of myself in a couple of my previous clients, and I'd say that's um, kind of the easier people to deal with because they're going through the same stuff that I've already been through and conquered.
Right.
So it's easier for me to help them with those challenges. But it's awesome helping others with different types of challenges. Like, I've never had children, so working with parents and helping them through their problems helps me learn for my future what to do whenever something similar to what they're going through, if that happens to me. So it's a learning process, but it's awesome because I learn the best when I'm trying to teach something to someone else. So when someone has an issue that is something I've never experienced, I love to learn about it online so I can teach them how to, process whatever's going on in a healthy and constructive manner.
All right, that's awesome. So I want to highlight that just for a minute, just for the listener to really uh, pay attention to what he just said about stepping back and assessing and figuring out whether um, you know what you're doing is is workable for the person that you're working with, or
Hmm.
for the entrepreneur to assess whether or not your message is actually useful for the person that you're trying to point it at. Targeting is a really big thing, and spending some time on that, really figuring out who your client is and who you can best serve, and whether or not they're going to be interested in you serving them, is maybe one of the things that you really gets overlooked. How important it is to really know who you can best serve and whether they actually want to be served by you. And that's really the key: is will they be served by you? And speaking of being served and service, what's the one thing that you want people to know regarding their fitness?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of miscellaneous tiny tips, which all of them will be easily found through my profile on Facebook. I'm always trying to get stuff out on my Facebook story, like more text tips and stuff that I think of that I remind myself every day. One, which is the most primary one, if I were to just give one, is drink more water. If you want to gain
Haha,
weight,
yeah,
drink more water. If you want to lose weight, drink more water. If you want
yeah,
to, fix your skin complexion, drink more water.
yes. And so speaking of drinking water, I know
As I
that
take a gulp now.
hey, I'm gonna tell you, over the last like this year, I probably drank more water than I drank in the first, in the last 10 years. So I'm totally with you. Not that I'm trying to gain weight or lose weight, but I'm definitely,
So you're trying to maintain? Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I'm
You
trying
know
to
what'll help with
maintain
that? Drink more water.
drink more water. So here's the thing though. So the question I have for you, because depending upon who you ask, some people say there's like an actual calculation where you take your body weight divided by 37 and you get like, or you take like your age, and there's all these different things. And then some people say, well, you just need to drink like 6 to 8 glasses of water a day. Like what's your recommendation?
Well, that's very dependent on where in the world you live, as well with what you're doing for activity. Um, and females different than males. So like I'm sure there's an equation out there, but a rule of thumb is like about 15.5 cups or 3.7 liters for men and 11.5 cups or 2.7 liters for women. Thank you, mayoclinic.org.
And that is why Mr. Michael Mello is on the show, giving us the first and last word on how much water we need to drink. And and if you didn't get those percentages, drink more water.
Yes,
Because
that is the
nine
tip.
times out of 10, you are not drinking enough water. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
if you've ever worked in an office, or, my case, if you've ever been in the military and you're carrying around this jug of water 24/7, and, you're literally seeing people, they're like, they're basically camels. They're drinking like, 3 cups of water in the entire day. And you're like, how are you existing? Or worse, they're
Exactly.
hitting them monster drinks and stuff like that, which
Plus, if you're a guy out there and you want to look good for the ladies, you want to get a good pump, and you want your veins popping, you look like a beast, you want to look like that apex predator. You know what I'm saying? Not a predator, but it's the
right.
apex human. You got to drink more water. You got to get those veins popping. That's what looks juicy, baby.
That's right. It's all about looking juicy.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that on my Instagram. It's all about looking juicy.
Who
So
got the juice?
I got the juice. So
There we go.
Michael's got the juice. So
Hey,
everybody's got the juice. But so
as long as they
speaking
drink
of,
more water.
yeah, right. As long as your veins be popping if you drink more water,
Hell yeah,
you
show the
just be
juice.
popping. But so speaking of popping and the social, like where can we find you, Mr. Michael Mello, if we're looking to follow you on one of those social profiles?
Yep. So it's facebook.com/Mello, MELLO 1103. Um, Oh, but one thing that I remember I wanted to say before what you were talking about with your labrum, because that was like, oh wow, I was just very taken aback by that. Is that even if your coach has a degree or some certifications, like always make sure that they're still continuing their education, because I know coaches that might be over like 50 years old and all they have is the same degree as me, like exercise science. But it's like, okay, when was the last time you got a certification, or when are you doing your own studies for this topic? Like, I mean, I get it, it's different if you're working with a lot of clients and you're getting your experience through working with all the clients and you don't quote unquote have time to get other certifications. But I
Right.
mean, it's different. Like, so basically, it's either experience or education. So if you don't have experience, you have to at least have the education. But if you have so much experience where you're getting your clients results, that pretty much speaks for you knowing what you know. But other than that, if your coach or something had a degree like 20 years ago, what have you been doing since then to keep up your,
Yes.
knowledge in that topic, I guess?
Yes. And listener, I'm going to tell you that is that is true for you as well. Yes, if you're a coach, or if you're gonna hire a coach, yes, check their references, check that they are current. If you think about it like, somebody who's working on an aircraft for you, that aircraft mechanic has to maintain his certifications at least yearly, or else he will, not keep his certification, right? And so if you're talking about a coach, especially a physical coach, yes, make sure that they are keeping up. And then for you yourself, maintain your education. Every day, try to be learning something, doing something with the thing that, most defines you, whatever that is, whether that's being an entrepreneur, whether that's, playing drums, every day be feeding your soul, because if you're doing something that's heart-centered and what you really want to be doing with your life, then you're feeding your soul. And so please take that to heart. Don't sit and not do anything with your education and your growth. And so speaking of working out and fitness, have you ever heard of the Naboso mat?
No.
The closest thing I can call it is just like, it's not exactly like, but it's kind of like a bed of nails, but the nails are really, really short and they're made out of rubber and they don't hurt. So when you stand on it, it basically communicates through your feet, and it gives you better balance, and it basically, can heal the communication of your feet to your body. And the Naboso mat is really kind of an interesting thing. I ordered mine through Amazon, and believe me, I order everything through Amazon, because if I don't like it, it goes
No
back,
returns.
right? And this mat ain't cheap. It's like $100, but I'm going to keep it because it's an amazing experience. I highly recommend it. And shout out to Dr. Splitchell, who's going to be here. I think she's going to be on the show on next Tuesday. She's going to tell us all about the Naboso technology and really how it's helping, different people with many disabilities to live better lives. And with that, I really want to thank Mr. Michael Mello for being on the show. And it's always amazing to talk to my guest, and this was no different. So I really appreciate you being on.
Thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
And definitely check him out on Facebook. He puts out some really good content, so definitely check him out. And with that, I just want to remind the listeners, be kind to yourself. If you have a thought, if you have a feeling, if you have an emotion, and you would not want your best friend, your mom, to feel it or say it, then please let it go. Our minds can hurt us. Our minds can trick us. So run it through the best friend filter, and find peace. All right. Peace, y'all.